of the City of Carrizo Springs will be held Monday, March 11, 2025, 5:30 p.m. at the Carrizo Springs Civic Center, 405 North 7th Street, Carrizo Springs, Texas, 78834. We're discussing matters incident and related to the City of Carrizo Springs. The following items will be discussed. Call the meeting to order. It is 5:30. Roll call and establishment of quorum. Starting from my left. Oscar Puente.
No Elgador.
Quorum's been established. Welcome and recognition of guests. Thank you all for being here. Pledge of allegiance.
Mayor, before we start, can I do the quorum for the county real quick?
Sure, go
Can I
ahead.
do the quorum for the county?
You're gonna do the quorum.
Just so that we can establish quorum for us. The time is 5:31, and I do, we are here with the City of Carrizo Springs as a joint special meeting. Precinct 1.
Judge Martha Ponce,
Present.
Commissioner Jose Orenda,
Here.
Commissioner Alonso Carmona,
Here.
Commissioner Julissa Calamante,
Present.
and Commissioner Rubalcaba.
We do have 4 members present with 1 member absent, which is Commissioner Rubalcaba. We do have a quorum. Thank you.
Pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry, we always do
The words are coming out of my mouth here.
Sorry about that. I was like, under the Texas flag. No. It's your meeting.
We always do
Okay. I'm going to do a joint meeting opening statement. On behalf of the City Council, we welcome Dimmit County Commissioners Court. We are happy to hold this preliminary meeting for discussion regarding topics of mutual interest. The City Council and Commissioners Court have each recently made discoveries regarding assets and resources which have led to us to meet and share information. We will share information that is requested regarding agenda items without the need for a public information request, and hope that the same gesture is recuperated by the Commissioners Court. The City of Carrizo Springs and Dimmit County have a long history of working together for the common good of our community and its citizens. We are committed to working alongside all of you in the spirit of collaboration, which has been so successful in the past. So we'll go to item 1, discussion and appropriate action to approve. Discussion and appropriate action to approve Brush Country interlocal agreement between the City of Carrizo Springs and Dimmit County. Everybody, commissioners and judge, you have a copy of the interlocal agreement? Yes?
Yes, we emailed them packets yesterday, and on their desk, all the material that we are going to discuss, they also have a copy of. So the changes that we requested are really on the first page of the interlocal agreement.
Hey man, I did not receive
Can I receive one, sir?
the interlocal agreement, the changes. I just got the memorandum of the cemeteries and the city and the Casita.
Yes,
That's what we received. I didn't receive the MOU.
The page that you're looking at, that you
Right.
have?
But she put a new one on here, so we have, it's right here. Is that correct?
Yes.
I just,
Oh,
we just
okay.
didn't receive it in email, is
On
what I'm trying
email.
to say.
Oh,
So
yes,
like-
so we've exchanged it through email over the months, but what you have here was shared
Okay.
yesterday, because these are changes that we've requested, it's only on page 1.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Sure. Well,
This is it.
So it's on page 5 of the documents that Ms. Garcia tendered to us.
Ms. Garcia,
Sure, so previously, regarding brush pickup, it said on days designated by county. One of the reasons that we would like that change designated by the city, and either we're gonna just keep to the 2 days that we do now, or we can add 1 more month to do it quarterly, is because it has become an issue for our code enforcement with people taking out brush weekly and throughout the year, and then you know, stating that commissioners, we called them, they're gonna pick it up, but it's, you know, it's starting to become a problem with having a lot of brush taken out and being able to enforce our ordinances. So what we're recommending is that it's just the months are designated when the city does it, and if the commissioners would like to help us or able to help us, then we would ask for that assistance. But for it not to be, you know, throughout the year, whenever anyone wants to just put their brush out and ask for it to be picked up, because then it does become and has been an issue. And then we just included, and speaking of course, most of you have worked with Mr. Montalvo, our streets supervisor. It says we're repairing streets, and I just wanted to put the things that actually the commissioners have been helping out, because they have been helping with personnel, equipment, and materials regarding the streets. So I just wanted to be specific, so I put specifications on there. Maintaining landfill hasn't occurred, and it's not something that we felt was needed, so we were just requesting to have that item removed at this time. Sorry. The very bottom, regarding Carrizo Springs responsibilities in item C, we are recommending that the brush and where it says the tipping fees to be waived to only be within the city limits and not inclusive of all county. And you'll see in the documentation the reason that we're requesting that later. Because D, we were asking to waive the tipping fees for brush collected by the county within the entire county, which would include, I think, Catarina and Asherton and Bedwells and everywhere else. And E, where it's saying the city will be responsible for any damage on equipment belonging to the county when the equipment is used by the city, or if it's being operated by the county employees. We were asking to have that removed because we didn't think it would be fair just to be responsible for the equipment by a county when a county employee was operating the equipment. Unless, you know, there's justification for that. And you'll see some documentation regarding what we still have to pay for what we bring in, which I shared with you yesterday. So if you look by county, what the city does pay, you can see that on page 11 for the tonnage. So we still have a fee to pay, as you can see, and it's broken down for precincts there. And these fees are paid to TCQ. And there's only, as you know, it's for a certain tonnage that we can receive per day. So when you look at it, you're looking at, for example, precinct 1, September of 2024 through January 2025, we paid $5,300. Precinct 2, we paid $2,498. Precinct 3, $2,318. Precinct 4, $4,200. And then when you're looking at the totals at the very bottom, you have $14,317. So, you know, it's a cost we're incurring already if we have to include those counties outside. I mean, those cities, I'm sorry, outside of the city limits. So that's why we want to look at this and take that into consideration, because the cities are incurring all those costs.
Now, the county would help with the brush during our scheduled pickups, is that?
If you would like to, that's up for discussion. But we do want to limit it just to the months that are designated and not year-round. Because it does make it very hard to enforce our ordinances.
So if they do it on the same day that we're going to do it, is what you're saying?
What I'm saying is we already do it, like we're doing it now. Right now it's designated. We do it twice a year. And we would ask either you can help us during those times, or we can continue just doing it on our own. But what we're saying is when our code enforcers go out there and people are taking out, besides brush, everything else, and they're saying, oh yeah, but I already called county, and then we're kind of waiting, then it makes it difficult for people to follow the ordinances.
So when we do that, is there going to be a determined route, or is there just going to be going, you know what I mean? We city and county now.
We do.
If they choose.
Well, we would have to have
A discussion on that to see which route or.
Well, first of all, the county is here to answer whether they would want to join us or what their thoughts are.
I don't, if they do, yes.
That would have to get determined as they join us. Yes, ma'am.
Do you think that twice, you said twice a year pickup is enough?
We do that now, yes.
But do you think that that's enough for the constituents?
Well, I mean, I do, I don't know, I own a home and I'm not constantly removing brush, certainly not twice a year, I can tell you that much.
I don't think that it's enough to do it twice a year, if I'm just being honest with you. We get calls daily, and it's the number one issue that we have to deal with as commissioners, and we did fall behind because we didn't have our interlocal agreement with the city. But I don't think that if you do consider to do it that way, not saying however we discussed, I don't think that twice a year is gonna be beneficial to the constituents.
But I mean, I've only been here a year and a half, Ms. Almontes, but it was being done twice a year before and it was working.
If I may,
But
go ahead.
because county is also picking up as well. So twice a year in the city, but the county is also picking up year long, right?
Go ahead, Commissioner.
If I may,
But
if you were doing it quarterly, I think it was working a lot better than what you're doing twice a year. The simple fact also, you gotta realize that your house is totally different than somebody else's house.
Sure.
Some have more trees in it. With the weather that we have been getting lately, trees are coming down, being so old, and you see a lot of brush out there. I haven't seen that much trash, but I see a lot of brush. A lady just called me, one of my constituents just called me this morning, that a tree fell on her fence, and it's a community street. But you gotta take into consideration also weather patterns, being that it's hazardous, because as soon as they pull that brush, I can understand your marshal patrolling the neighborhoods and trying to enforce the rules, but also you gotta be somewhere conscientious enough to make constituents have their brush picked up in an orderly manner. And if you're gonna do it twice a year, then my suggestion would be write it on the water bill that by y'all's order instead of, because a lot of times we get, as a county, we get blamed that we don't wanna go and help. But they don't know about the interlocal agreement that we have here, and they think that, hey, we support y'all and all this, but you're not helping us. And then I explained to them, it doesn't fall on us. It falls mostly on the city council, will speak to them. But right now, you already picked up, but with this upcoming weather, we're gonna have another set of strong winds. It's gonna knock down more tree limbs and the fact is that, what are you gonna have? More people having put up brush after you did your roundup, and they get fined again just because they're gonna have another brush pile outside?
So I do want to correct that. We don't find people when there's weather-related issues. Actually, when
Well,
there
I
is,
mean, right now,
so when there's strong winds or anything like that, though, we do go take a
Obviously-
brush. Yeah, so
Obviously for that, but I think he's
Yeah.
talking more when there's wind-related or Mother Nature knocks down a bunch of trees and they start getting piled up at some
we
point.
do go pick up. That's what I'm saying. So besides the 2 times a year, if there's strong winds or there's storms and folks take out brush and start calling us, then we go pick it up.
And what is gonna be the offering on that? How are we, the policy on that? How are you gonna justify it to the citizens being that they're calling us and we refer them?
Well, that's what
And
we're having.
a lot of the
this
answers I
meeting.
get
Sure.
from the citizens, and I don't want to be disrespectful, they're like, oh, they already told us we went through and nobody's here to help us. You know, well, we're not the city, so we try to help in the manner we can, as long as we follow the interlocal agreement. Right now, we do not have an interlocal agreement, so we cannot entertain any business within the city. So that is the predicament that puts us commissioners and the judge in that place where these constituents are looking at more at us, because they don't look at the city, to be fair, they look at more at the county because we have the equipment to haul out all that stuff. But we need to get we need to clarify all this to the public so they can understand how the interlocal agreement works. I can understand just discussing it among ourselves, but from here, it doesn't go nowhere other than the minutes. But there's some way you have notification on the newspaper or something. Hey, we had a conjoined meeting, this is what we came up with, and go from there.
Ms. Rodena.
I have a question. When you're performing brush pickup twice a month, what kind of equipment do you allocate for that specific task at this point?
We have two backhoes and, two 6-yard dump trucks.
Okay, and I'm just gonna kind of make a comment based on what I've seen and learned in the past 3 years. You know, it seemed to have been working fairly well, because for one, you can tell you quick receiving phone calls about, hey, I've got brush, I've got, and you know what, this is no different than other situations where people may tend to abuse the system. However, with the equipment that we utilize to pick up brush, and I'll tell you, it's specified for brush pickup. It takes longer to drive a dump truck and a backhoe along the street and be picking up brush when you usually, most of the time, you probably be dropping a quarter of it as you're loading, versus a brush truck that goes in there and grabs one operator, one truck. So efficient-wise, we can probably perform a lot more brush pickup. My point here is, I think more than anything, honestly, where I realized it started was on the money side. Where it started costing, if you really look at it, it's digging into the city's revenue, because now these people are using the county to pick up their brush, so they're not hauling it and paying it to landfill. Correct me if I'm mistaken. At one point or another, it happens. And they're waiting, what's happening is they're waiting on the city to pick up brush. Well, if the city does it twice a year, and to be honest, we don't do it to affect any type of financial situation. We do it to enhance our community and to keep it as clean as possible. That's why we do it, to help the community. That's basically why we're elected for. But when we start looking at numbers, realistically speaking, if the county is doing all this work and people are not paying to go pay at the landfill, the city's losing revenue, correct?
Well, it is, but I just also want to say, besides the 2 times a year though, we do have free landfill.
Okay, yeah.
So we also offer free landfill, so it's not that those are the only opportunities. So we try to offer as many opportunities to help our community as possible. Brenda, how often is the free landfill?
The free landfill is every 3 months, and we have it for a whole week. Like the next one will be at the end of March, and it'll start on Monday, it finishes on Friday. If by any chance it rains, we just extend the days. We do offer it with 5 full days.
And that includes bulk, so, you know, there's more than one opportunity that we try. So it's, I mean, for us, we're not just looking at the financial, we try to offer as much as we can for our community to have the opportunity, free of charge, to go and take what they need.
So is the issue right now the amount of brush that the landfill can
Well, I also want to, of course, we're also looking at the lifespan of and we did want to ask, so if you look there, we understand you have the same license as we do, so we wanted to just ask to see how we could collaborate, because we're just wondering why there's a reason you don't take any to your landfill. We have the same license.
We're actually, we're heading that direction.
Yes.
Because
Okay.
the landfill has just recently been established, probably a year ago, so we're.
So right now, we're actually in the process of trying to allocate an area there, and we've discussed with TCQ, we've discussed with our engineer to designate an area specifically for that brush pickup, because the way that our landfill is designated for some other thing that we have. And so right now, what we're trying to do is do that. We're not by no means trying to take advantage, obviously, of the city. But to be quite frank with you, I don't think that doing it twice a year is going to suffice. As Commissioner Talamantes mentioned, we're constantly getting calls. And I personally obviously don't do brush pickup as part of my duties as the judge, but the commissioners do. And that's one of their delegated duties, is that in doing their road and bridge. And so they get calls all the time, but obviously I get the calls to my office as well if somebody is not picking it up. And so from the way that historically speaking has it been here lately, there has not, I mean, two times a year will not suffice. We are working on trying to, like I said, allocate an area at our landfill. We're also working with Commissioner Rubalcaba to have a ribbon cutting so that the community knows that the county has this landfill. It's not just money that was poured in and nobody can use it. We are trying to mitigate all those things. It's just taking some time. And I guess for us, the main concern where the issue was in terms of not approving the interlocal agreement for the brush pickup. And I know that you mentioned numbers, and you mentioned, you know, that precinct 1 specifically has the highest number in terms of what you paid to TCEQ, but I'm trying to understand where your position is in terms of throwing those numbers out. Like
why we're mentioning the numbers?
Yes,
because we think it's important to understand, and I bring that to the point because, Judge, the last time we met, we were just having discussion about EMS, and it was brought to us that the city uses EMS services the most, or the sheriff's office the most. So we were told because we use the services the most, we had to pay, we had to contribute, when none of the other cities had to contribute. They were within the county, right? So, and you, sir, the last time we were discussing, the last meeting we had, you mentioned, I know regarding the agreement, you recently brought us 1964 agreement. You mentioned that, you said, I know that you guys think that this might be one-sided, but actually, you said because citizens of Carrizo already pay county taxes as well, it would be like charging them again. When I brought that up regarding EMS or sheriff's office, I was told, no, that's not double taxation. But do you see where I'm getting at? It's like it's a double standard. You know, we have to pay more. We have to pay for sheriff's offices. We have to pay, now we had to get our own contract for EMS because we're told you, Carrizo Springs, do more, even though of course there's more population here. You also get more taxes from Carrizo than you would if it goes anywhere else. So in the same sense, that's why it comes back to the money issue. It's like, but Carrizo now has to pay for sheriff's office, had to get their own EMS. So when you're looking at the contributions, and you'll see in there what we're paying for the lift station, which we have 2 people going out there every day, every single day, you know, Sunday to Monday. Well, we pay the electricity in that lift station that's by the Border Patrol station is only servicing the county buildings. It's not, has no benefit to the city whatsoever. So when you're asking why we're bringing the money issue into it, because we're being asked to contribute all these things, but we have to reciprocate something in return, right? Because then it does seem as though there's more being contributed from our citizens, not our money. We're just trying to be good stewards. We're looking at the money from the citizens, as do you all, right? So we're having a discussion not meant for any action to be taken. But we wanted to come to light because I'm sure that you guys weren't aware of that, just like I wasn't aware, to be honest. Like all this, we're just becoming aware of those things. So that's where the money issue comes, because here we are having to contribute to these other things that the other cities don't have to contribute. And on top of that, you know, there's, as you know, sir, we talked about having to rehabilitate that lift station, what it's taking to maintain it. You know, the water counts, it costs more money from, and again, it's the citizens of Carrizo. Everything requires the maintenance, repairs of infrastructure. The less money we have to do those things, the much more difficult it is, right, to keep the city in operation. So it's, when it comes down to money, it's really maintaining and repairing what needs to get done. And as everybody in Carrizo knows, there's critical infrastructure. Right now that we're having to look at it, we're doing everything we can on our part to maintain it and apply for grants. But yes, the less money we have to do those things, it makes it much more difficult to do the work that needs to get done.
And as our part, we have tipping fees in our budget that we use also purchase orders to do the tipping fees. When we pick up outside the county, and we do the tipping fee. So
I've run this year, but we hadn't been turned.
I've done this year.
Yes, I'll be honest with you, Ms. Garcia, I just approved $2,700 PO for Commissioner Rubalcaba.
Oh, yes, ma'am, because we don't have an interlocal. Yes, as of right now, that we don't have interlocal.
Yes, that's what Commissioner.
Oh, yes, right now, yes, but before, no, there was no charge.
I used to make,
Yeah.
well, not used, I made POs when we pulled up from outside the
Yes,
city.
historically speaking,
Yes.
historically speaking, even when Judge Thompson was there, they would pay tipping fees. Even though we didn't have an interlocal agreement, we were still paying tipping fees. Historically speaking, we've always paid tipping fees.
I've been with the landfill, working with the landfill for 10 years already. And in the beginning, when I first started, the only thing that was free was whatever was picked up in city limits. They would let me know what addresses they were going to be picking up so that I could let the marshal know. And they would give me the address, I would write it on the ticket. Whatever was outside city limits was charged. That is true. But only what was in city limits letting everything go. And that's when it started to become, I feel like a burden to the landfill, because we have a tonnage limit, and sometimes some of these trucks are, each time they come is 4 or 5 tons. We're allowed 20 throughout the whole day to brush. So when if 2 or 3 trucks come, that's almost all my tonnage.
But I think you're kind of, I understand what you're saying, but most of our brush is from within the city. Because ranchers don't pile brush in front of their gate. They either, yeah, basically, Commissioner,
What I'm thinking
burning
is,
it.
whatever was brought from Asherton, Catarina, Carrizo Hill, Big Wells, those would be
But
made.
these numbers reflect precinct 1 has the highest number.
He doesn't have anybody in Asherton or
Yeah.
Big Wells or.
No, I understand that.
So then all his fees that are being paid have to be coming in from the city of Carrizo Springs.
Because he doesn't cover anything outside of the city.
No, I understand
So
what you're
that's
saying.
contradictory to.
No, it's not contradictory. We just want to make,
No, because you're saying that you're having to pay $5,300 on precinct 1 to justify the pickup and justify the position that
yes, but
you guys are
we're
paying
still
them.
getting at is whether we do it, and I'm not saying we have to stick to twice a year, or maybe quarterly, because remember, we also offered for a whole week, one whole week, quarterly as well, but anytime anybody wants to call, it's not going to work. So we have, if you do want to assist us, there has to be a schedule, and it has to be only designated months, whether it's these 3 months, these 4 months, and it cannot be at the whim of everybody. That is becoming an issue.
And I think for the most part, and the commissioners, you can disagree with me if you want. I think for the most part, I most certainly agree that I don't think we have a problem with doing a quarterly assisting you guys. But I think on the surface, what the commissioners would like, and I know Commissioner Alonso has told me before, is making it transparent to the community that we are going to assist you guys. We're going to do it on a quarterly basis, but we want them to know that the reason why why Commissioner Urenda is only going to do it quarterly is because we have this interlocal agreement that we can only do it these 3 times throughout the
I
year.
agree with that, and I agree the public needs to know, and our plan is that whatever agreement we come to, that we put it on the newspaper, what the schedule's gonna be from now on, make sure that everybody knows that, the phone calls that come in, and it will not get picked up by anybody unless it's those designated months, and that is the city's decision. We would put it on Facebook, so that yes, it is transparent to everybody, and we would put an explanation as to the reasons why.
If I may, so, and I know that I've only been here 3 months, but honestly, the brush pickup has been the biggest issue that I've had to tackle since coming in, because I missed my first brush pickup, and the second one, I literally had people calling me and telling me, we were hoping that you would continue it, and I even got them because they're saying, our previous commissioner, he always did it, like, why aren't you doing it? So I had to sit there and explain to them why I wasn't able to pick it up. It's also a fire hazard for them to pile up that brush. So even though you're saying like it doesn't look nice and it doesn't look good, we try to get out there as well because it is a fire hazard, it's a snake hazard for the communities that are out there. When you're looking at the numbers and you're going back to it and picking back off of Commissioner Urenda, you're giving us fees, but we're also doing the work for you. So if you look at your manpower and how much it would take your machines to operate to pick up all that brush, we're doing it for you free of cost because you're not taking them to the city. And I know that you're going back and you're saying, well, the landfill is open. I just have a message from an 80-year-old man that lives within the city limits that he's begging for assistance because the city is fining him and he has no way to pick up the stuff to get rid of it. So I'm sorry, I don't want to be disrespectful, but 2 times out of the year isn't going to be enough because we're the ones getting real calls from the people begging us for assistance because they can't do it themselves, they can't perform it themselves. And we have the equipment. Like Commissioner says, we have a cherry picker that goes, we're able to do it at a faster rate with less manpower to do it, and that's how we justify buying the equipment that we bought to do it. This kind of seems a little bit one-sided, if I'm being honest with you.
Well, Ms. Montes, as I said, we're having discussions, so I've already reiterated more than once that if twice a year is sufficient, we're open to quarterly, and we are open. Now, if there's someone who doesn't have anybody available, we do take that into consideration, the gentleman that you're saying called you, so.
And I can pass on that information.
We're not saying it's a hard no, that it's only twice a year, we're saying that we already do that. If we need to add a
every month or whatever it
Yes,
was.
I did, because
You
it was
had
actually
scheduled
repeat.
those, you had scheduled those pickups, that we don't do our schedule to pick up the brush in the city. You came up with a plan, we followed your plan, now it's not working, so it seems like it's to be thrown back to us. But unfortunately, you're the one that sets up those plans. We don't set it up, and we're not, I don't tell a constituent, well, I'm gonna go pick up your brush tomorrow because you just put it out. No, you stated on the month, for every month, or every 2 months, whatever it was.
Every week.
You said it was 1 week precinct 1 week precinct
Yes, sir,
2,
I did.
1 precinct 3, 1 week precinct 4. So we don't set up the schedule, man. It comes back to you, where
Mr.
you
Calhoun, I
say,
understand that, but
and
you're-
the cost here that you relate to. And I'm gonna go back to what Commissioner Urienda said. None of this comes from outside the county. Because I'm after those ranchers that are burning those brush piles. Because I don't wanna have fires. But I'm out there telling them, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. And they're requesting, well, can you take it to the landfill? No, because our landfill is made only for trash
And also,
at the moment.
I think additionally, Ms. Garcia, I know that you mentioned we're here for discussion, but for purposes of our, financial, position is, when you put it on our agenda, and I see your agenda also says discuss and appropriate action to approve, have the discussion, but also have something approved and in place today that's agreed on by everyone, because if we don't have an approval today, we can't continue to have joint meetings, obviously, because it's difficult as it is. I know for you and I to both coordinate to have all our members of our government board on one day and one time. Additionally, we're gonna continue to be charged if Commissioner Reda wants to go take, some brush, and we don't have an interlocal agreement, you're gonna charge us like we got charged for Commissioner Rubalcaba. And so those we have line items for tipping fees, but then they start exceeding that on the budget, because we don't have an agreement.
Yes, I understand that. So first of all, when I said it's for discussions, because there's more than one item, but I don't think we're gonna come to an agreement one meeting as to everything that needs to be discussed today. So it's up to the council and yourselves if
Well,
there's
for
any action
In
items.
Dimmit County, we have just items 1 and 2, so I
Yes,
think that
that's
we
what I mean.
can very much so come to an agreement today. I
That
would hope so,
really
I mean, if
depends
the council.
on the council and the commissioner's court, but
Garcia,
I
when you came out with the schedule of what Mr. Carmona is referring to, was there a specific reason why that came about?
yes, because every precinct can have any designated day, so on any given day, you could have 2 or 3 precincts going, that same day or however the week, so
So
it
was
could have
there,
been precinct 1 and 2 and 3 showing up on a Monday or Tuesday, or maybe nobody would go on one day, but it was anytime. Anybody could show up and our tonnage was always.
was that
taken at
affecting the
very
tonnage?
Yes, so anybody from out the city wanted to go in, couldn't take anything out. So
And
I just wanted to
understand.
clear
No,
that
no.
was the reason.
And I understand where you're coming from.
I didn't
as well.
designate like right now that where we are requesting, where we need to come to an agreement is, if we are gonna work together, is either the quarterly, but it can't be the way it is, where it's, on this frequency.
Because I have a question,
Sure.
and this might help, maybe not the solution, but might help. So we both have basically the same type of plan at this point. It's basically suits the same purpose. However, if we were to establish our own drop point for brush within our neighborhood, would it be an issue for us to establish our own schedule as to when we can schedule pickup? Would y'all have any?
As long as there was not every week, because again, we don't want people just
If
taking
we're
out
doing
rushing
an
points.
interlocal agreement, and right now, we're talking about the landfill, how much it's costing, this and that. What if we set up our own place at our landfill where we can haul strictly brush? Because in speaking to the engineer, our landfill is licensed, only 8 acres is licensed for, under TCEQ for brush, for debris, which is what our trash trucks haul. And it's regulated by tonnage. The rest of the property, we can utilize for whatever, because it's not under the TCEQ permit. So we can go in there and clear brush, dig a pit, whatever we as commissioners court decide to do to pile up the brush, but where we would help the situation where we're not hauling it into your landfill. Now we're hauling it into our landfill, and we can do it as needed.
I don't think they can regulate our, because it's through our county and it's our landfill. So I don't think that they can regulate us. The only thing that I think you want to ask them is, will they fine the citizens if you establish our own?
That's what I'm asking.
Oh, okay.
That is what he's asking,
But
because
then-
again, if anybody takes out their brush where it's at, then we would, it's a
But I-
tour ordinance, so that's what he's asking is.
I give you
There
what-
have to be a
I think it
schedule.
would depend. If it becomes the city ordinance violation, well, then the officers would issue that citation. It
Well,
probably would.
plus our engineer, one time he said it was only licensed for debris and trash. We don't have, from what I understood from him, and I might have not understood him correctly, but I think we have to have also a permit for the brush.
Yeah.
So we don't have one, and that's what we were working on. It's not that we can set it up right now to make a brush drop off due to the fact that we're not gonna follow that
I think
regulation.
that's more on something we need to look at in-house because.
But I was just explaining to him.
I agree with you because I've been there when Mr. Held has advised Commissioner Lena that we can't just go make a hole and start putting brush in there. So the main thing is if we do that, 'cause we have to have an interlocal regardless in terms of if we dig a hole at our landfill and allocate an area for brush pickup, we still have, by law, we still have to have interlocal, which gives us the authority to come into your city to pick up your constituents, your residents' debris and whatever it is, the trash that needs to be picked up, to take it to our, when we take it, we can come every day if we wanted to, if we have the resources every day, but there still has to be an interlocal agreement with you guys giving us the authority, am I correct? To give us the authority to come into your jurisdiction, if you will, so that we can pick up the debris or whatever is there, so that your residents don't get cited for this ordinance, violating this ordinance.
And I think we're on the same page.
Right.
We're opening this discussion to establish that scheduling order, and so that we're on the same place and we don't double fine our citizens or your constituents
Right.
whenever we are implementing or enforcing these ordinances. So I think that's what the purpose of this meeting was more about, not really to bring to light the money issues or the contribution, yes, just to bring it to the table in case there was any questions with regards to that, the money side, but really it's just to come to an agreement on what works for both of us. Now that we know you guys have the resources that we obviously don't, we would love to work together and figure out a schedule that works for everyone. So I think that's really the point of the
that we have now. And I mean, I just started off with it, but I did feel that it would work in the best interest because it's all the same constituents. I mean, we can say citizens and we can say constituents, but they're all the same voters. These are all still taxpayers that need our assistance, and we do have the assistance to help them. I think that messing with the brush, and I didn't know that you listed here, just within the city limits for brush pickup, the city of Asherton and the city of Bigos don't have the resources to pay extra for them to do that in Bigos or in Asherton. I mean, it's not really fair to them as well as county, because it's still county equipment and we're still offering a service to the city and inside the city limits. It's not really fair to take them away and say, okay, just because you live in Asherton and just because you live in Bigos, we're not going to pick up your brush because we can only do that. You see how I'm kind of getting at that's only beneficial to the city and it's not really including the whole county.
John,
Well-
excuse me, John, right now we have 2 scheduled brush pickup
Yes, sir.
per year.
And we dedicate a whole month to do all 3 zones.
Okay, so, could you do 3 or 4 or scheduled brush pickups? You're the one that knows.
It takes at least 3 to 4 weeks to do a full cleanup, through all 3 zones. So we dedicate 2 months a year to do twice a year. We do it probably 4 months out of the year.
It
Could that
takes
be done?
3 days, just for reference.
Could that be done?
It can be done. Yeah, we're gonna have to work on the brush and other projects have to be at home because so we have 2 trucks.
So 3 times a year that it would work.
3 times a year would be 3 months out of the year. So
And right now that you're picking up brush, are you having problems picking up brush within the allotted time.
Usually we get about 3 to 4 weeks a month, we do in a month,
Mayor Friday, I know he said that it took you how long to pick up brush?
3 to 4 weeks.
It takes us 3 days.
No, for the entire city, no.
Oh, okay, but in like in an area, I mean, we get it done like at a much faster pace, and also take into consideration, it takes them that long, but we're also assisting right now. You don't have the numbers to show how long it would take you if you stop assisting.
Yeah, but we do sections at a time, and those are scheduled.
A citywide, 3 to 4
No,
months.
ma'am, during this time, we don't get assistance from the commissioners.
It's only been 2 months.
No, right now, the city, this is their regular scheduled brush pickup, so this is not a point in time where the commissioners assist us. It's only the city that does it.
I know, but
So when you're saying we don't know, when we're saying the 4 weeks, that's what it takes us.
I'm saying that you don't know because we regularly do it once a month, that we have once a month, and we do pick up within the city, because I'm sure that Commissioner Miranda does it, and Commissioner Carmona does it. So the amount that you're seeing when it's scheduled for you to do it isn't the amount that you would see if you stopped doing it, is what I'm trying to do.
So you're saying twice is not,
I don't know. No,
maybe
from the amount
3
of
times? Just try it 3 times a year?
honestly, if it was me, I would say I say leave it the same that it is. I mean, I think it works out best for our constituents if you give us a schedule, we stick to it. If there is a problem with overtime or we go over a set limit, I can understand like, hey, if you go over this set time as commissioner, whatever you're saying, he does more, okay, then we can pay the rest in tipping fees, but set an amount of tonnage that you kind of want us to stay below. But I feel like in the interest of the constituents and the best interest of them, the system that you have right now works best for us. Or even
Yeah, is there any way, I'm listening to all of you. If you said that we have the landfill, quarterly? The landfill.
Yes,
when they-
for 1 week,
When they go free for the whole week, quarterly. Could we not do the quarterly that and then also do the brush at that same time? So that if there's brush and they have a vehicle or truck, they can take it, it's free. Can we do both at the same time? I mean, is that even possible?
Like when we have the regular 1 week that's free, the commissioner
Do
would
it
also
from the landfill.
participate.
As far as the city's concerned, do it from the landfill, it's free for the community, and do the, because I agree, I don't think twice is not enough. We live in a rural area, and some of our trees are mesquite trees, and they're older trees, and I mean, when it comes, there's roll out, you know, and but the community needs the help. But not everyone has a truck and our helpers, right? So I think we can increase this more than 2.
Sure, and
I just want to clarify something. I heard someone say it was your and your and your. It's not your county versus city. Carrizo Springs is here, county is here. So to say your, well, Carrizo Springs is part of the county too. So I think we need to other parties to say, let's do it together, how can we do it, instead of saying your.
I think a good compromise would be if we could do it like every other month instead of doing it twice a year or 3 times or quarterly. Maybe try doing it every other month and see how that works for everyone, not just for y'all or us, for everyone. See how it works. What are the benefits if we can do? Because, I mean, the schedule you had implemented initially, Ms. Garcia, where precinct 1 went 1 week, precinct 2, and so forth, and I think it worked very, very good. However, Ms. Vance is saying that it was getting overwhelming, and I respect that, and I understand that, and we're not here to overwhelm anybody. We want to work together, obviously. So if having every precinct once a week, instead of doing that, maybe just doing it every other month, that schedule, and see how it works. And we just have to reiterate to our constituents, the entire constituents of Dimmit County, to include the city of Carrizo Springs, is that y'all have to meet criteria in terms of the tonnage, as she was saying.
Right.
And we understand that it's costing everybody money, and we want to all maintain financial, being financially conservative. And so I think that perhaps maybe meeting in the middle and doing like every other month, see if that works.
I also wanted to ask if you all preferably you get the fire department out there, burn it, each one of us would save some space if that was an option. I know Crystal City does that, I don't know if it's an option for us.
I would be fine with it, but we're gonna have to really look at that because
Sure,
we
it's
can't
just
take
something
down
to
the
take
fire
into
trucks
consideration.
on a quarterly day because right now, the way we're in right now, we're in a dry spell, in a severe drought. Fires are coming up from left to right. So
I was
we-
hoping we could talk to Crystal and see how
And-
to make it work.
Maybe by having our water trucks out there, some way to make them work for us, but you cannot tie a fire truck to the burn site due to the fact that if there's a call that comes out, then you're gonna leave that burn site, and then if something happens, the county will be responsible for any fire that concurs at any wind that might come in and blow an ambulance to the next property.
Yes.
So then that's gonna be illegal. If we can modify our trucks, then we have the water trucks that we spray the county road with, maybe we can come up with a plan that we can
work on that. Instead of
It's just an option to
instead of
look at
tying
for
up
the future.
a fire truck, we probably get our fire chief to train a couple of our guys to properly extinguish if necessary and rig up. We've got tankers, we've got 2,000-gallon water trucks, we've got equipment that if he trains some of our personnel, I'm sure we can put it on.
We've done fire extinguisher training just with the staff, so,
Because you also can't burn if it's more than 10 miles an hour.
yes, yes.
No, we would do it under the proper conditions.
Because you have your red flag days, you have your Texas border days that they shut down you completely. There was at one time that the whole state of Texas was on a burn ban.
Garcia, I know that some of it recommended every other month, right? But do we have the equipment? Do we have the staff compared to county? We do not, I don't think so. Mr. Camarillo?
It takes our crew, 2 trucks, 2 backhoes, 4 people to do that. So they have a wrapper, 1 person. Okay?
Is it doable? Is it possible every other
That's what we
month?
have,
Is it
that's
just?
what we have to work with.
What about if you, they say,
Judge.
I asked
And just to
four times a
clarify,
year?
I'm the one that
Yes, the
recommended
judge
every other
recommended
month.
that.
That's
Judge,
four
when you
times.
recommended
If we did
that,
I did.
If we did it 4 times a year, because and you said we don't have the personnel, right? With that help of the county.
We will step in.
There you go.
We will step in.
You've done it
Because
before.
we can do it with 1 person
If
as
you don't
well
have the
too.
manpower and the equipment, we would definitely step in.
Yeah, we can
And
coordinate
take care
together.
of
Yes,
it.
sir. It can be done.
Judge, I was gonna say, I think right now, because this gets, reviewed every year, that's a good start and see how that goes. You know, and if at any point it's not working out, we can just quickly meet and say, let's come back to the table and figure something else out.
Especially this time of the year, there's a drought, the trees are dying.
Exactly.
And one of the things is, our equipment is not larger, our trucks are larger,
Yeah.
so we carry more, that's why we need the trolleys right away.
But that's what I'm saying, if we do it not twice a year, but 4 times a year, together, he don't have to use, with y'all's help, all the personnel he needs, because there's a lot of things,
We don't
challenges
mind
in
at
the
all
city.
knowing and assisting, whether you're the city or the
Right.
county, we don't mind where you're located. We will help no matter what.
That's what we do.
And I do think like doing it every month, as the judge did say, would work out, but I would really hope that y'all guys consider to take off within the city limits. I don't think that that's fair to even our taxpayers, that we're gonna be offering a service on top of the city of Carrizo also getting free landfill, which the city of Bigos and the city of Asherton don't receive. I don't think it's fair to our constituents either, for our taxpayers, too, well, they're all the same taxpayers, it's not even ours, they're all the same, to just say only within the city limits, because that's what I was saying, it kind of makes it just beneficial to the city and not to the county.
It just say everyone, or not that way. It's participants, and it can be.
Yes, and that's where we can benefit as a county, saying, hey, at least we're gonna be able to pick up Asherton and Bigos along with the city of Carrizo. And like I'm telling you, if she's saying that it's a tonnage issue, I can completely understand that, but set a limit for us to say, okay, precinct 3, you can have this much tonnage issue, but if you go over this much, because I did go jump off, I had to bite the bullet and I had to go pick up in one of my areas because it was becoming a fire hazard and a safety concern. And I had to go pick up, and I did get tipping fees to go be able to dispose because I couldn't wait any longer for this meeting to happen. So that's what I'm saying. I appreciate wanting to work with y'all guys and wanting to communicate. Just keeping in mind that including all of the county is where it benefits us as well as the city of Carrizo because we're using the
same taxpaying dollars to offer the same services, whether you live in the city or whether you live in the county.
So
This is
how does that
this.
work, ma'am? As far as the agreement, it is saying it's the city and the county. And if we remove within the city, how would will Ashton have their own agreement with it? I don't know if that.
Well, I'm not familiar with, their
I just
trash
wanted-
schedule or their push.
Well,
We
it's
don't
just
have that
that,
big enough
So
entities
if
to be
we're-
able to do any of that.
Ms. Donatas, and I understand that, and I wanna be frank with everybody that when we first started having conversations, when I came in the first discussion, I'm gonna go back to this, was our MOU with the county regarding the emergency services. I stated exactly what you did, because Carrizo Springs is part of the county, is it not? It's
Yes.
a county seat. And again, I'm gonna go back, what you're asking is that we consider, because those cities are within the county, to waive any fees. We asked the same thing, why does Carrizo have to pay for emergency services? No other city has to pay. Once again, we need to reciprocate as well. Are we gonna benefit the entire county, work together? Because, yes, we get calls from Carrizo, Hell or Ashton, we go out and help. We don't even need, agreement, sometimes we'll go help, they're our neighbors, but it has to be the same across the board, right? You can't ask Carrizo to be paying, using the citizens' taxpayer funds to pay for the services that everybody else gets within the county free of charge, not free of charge, that you're using your taxpayer money, but we have to pay additional funds, but then tell us in the same sense, please take this into consideration. I mean, it has to work both ways, is
And I
what we're
understand where you're
saying.
coming from as well as that. I know that we are focusing on brush right now,
Because
but
these
I
are-
do get the relationship
The
that
we're
the
using the
correlation that you're
taxpayers'
trying to
money,
make.
right, from Carrizo.
But you also can't justify the amounts that it's taking for brush pickup and EMS services. Those are two completely different amounts, and they're like astronomically far apart in terms of how much we pay for EMS service and how much we're paying for brush pickup. I just think that, again, I don't want to not walk away with the conclusion on this situation, because it's important. This was the one thing that I came to this joint meeting for, is because as a commissioner, I promised whenever I ran that I was always going to maintain, if not what my previous successor had, but better. I would want to be better. I would want to do better. So I'm communicating with them as much as I can. But we cannot justify not EMS money and landfill money. That's two completely different. I get where you're coming from. I do. I understand where you're coming from, but the numbers
Well, it's not just
aren't
that.
the same.
Because if you reviewed everything they sent yesterday, the city also pays for electricity for the lift station and maintains it and everything else. So what we're trying to say though is we do contribute quite a bit, and so we want that to be taken into consideration. We need some assistance with some of these things, because we can't continue just using those. And I
So
wasn't
then why don't
sure
you-
because that
why
has
don't you
been.
tell us what you need assistance with?
Well, that's what we're here to do.
Okay, rather than telling us you're gonna take away everything else that we need, tell us what you need assistance with, so that way we can work to try to assist you with what you need assistance with.
I think, if I may, there's a misconception. For some reason, and I don't know where we lost track of it, about the city and the county, they're all the same people. We're all the same,
Correct.
we're the same community. And to be honest with you, a comment you made earlier about the city pays for the electricity and they maintain the station, and the lift station, I understand, but we need to start from the bottom. The county pays for the construction and installation of the station. And in reality, we as a community benefit from that, because we have a sheriff department, which is the first line of defense to our community. We have the Rotary Arena now that provides the venue for people to come and spend have events, spend money. That money stays in Carrizo Springs. It stays here in our town. Fuel, food, hotels, all those people spend money here before they leave most of the time. So we all benefit. That, in reality, that venue is not established as a profit venue. The budget is not to make money with it. We just make it accessible to the people, to where they don't have to drive to Uvalde or Crystal City to go have a wedding or a quinceañera. We need to work together. It's our job and responsibility to work together for our people. It's not so much about we don't benefit, they benefit. Hey, in the long run, we all benefit. It's Carrizo Springs, it's Dimmit County, we're one community. And I understand if you're paying the electricity, hey, if we have an issue because it's high, let's talk about it. Maybe we'll split it. But we can't sit here and start
Pulling everything out.
yeah, saying, well, because I'll be honest with you, I don't ever look at who's benefiting from what, I look at how are we assisting our community? Because that's what my role responsibility is. And we need to really focus on that. And I'll be honest with you, there's a financial situation, like I said, the electricity side, we are using it. You and I talked about the lift station.
Yes.
If we need to upgrade it, if we need to build another one, y'all have the license to operate it. We don't have a license to operate it. Obviously, it has to be maintained. So the original agreement was the county's gonna spend almost $1 million based on what we saw. We saw the bill. Almost $1 million. It was 800 and something thousand. But the city's gonna maintain it. I thought that's a great deal. And we're gonna be able to circulate everything to the list, to y'all's plan. I
So
mean, we
that
gotta
is
figure
one thing
out.
that I wanted to include in this agreement because I wasn't aware of the lift station or that, you know, and I showed you the pictures of, unfortunately, from the sheriff's office, the backflow that comes up from all that, and we need assistance. We have 2 folks that go every single day, but to prevent it from having the backflow, we are requesting personnel to go assist with the baskets, go check them. We would like that to be included in the interlocal agreement as well.
And I can understand that, honestly, and I hope you do know that I'm being sincere with that. I can understand you needing assistance and you needing help with other stuff. I just don't think that it's fair to start, I don't want to use the wrong words because I really don't want to insult you, so please forgive me if I do. I don't want to start nitpicking on if you're from Gables, if you're from Ashton, if you live in the city limits, if you don't live in the city limits because you need help with your lift station.
No, I think you misunderstood. We're just putting everything in here that we would like to discuss, and yes, we do need assistance with the lift station. That doesn't have anything to do with whether we're taking a brush. That's a separate issue.
So on that note, I would like to just stay on the line item topic with regards to the brush interlocal agreement, just because we're getting sidetracked with other issues that are also on the agenda and we'll have it sometime.
John, if we did brush pickup 4 times a year, and I know we take, 3 weeks to do it, and we do it by sections, correct? So if we did 4 times a year with the county's help, do you think we could do the whole city within 1 week?
But are we doing it 3 times a year or are we doing it every other month? Because I thought right now we
Well,
said that
right
we were
now,
trying to every
no,
other month.
I'm talking about if we did it 4
Oh,
times
okay,
a
so
year.
you're just, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, every other month, 6 times a year.
Yeah.
We do 4 before.
If we did it 4, with the county's assistance, since they have the equipment, and help with personnel, instead of doing, what takes us 3 weeks?
Take 2
Well,
weeks.
because you're going by sections. If you finish a section, you still don't start on the other one until the following week. But if you did the 4 months and do the whole city in 1 week with the county's assistance, could 4 be something we could do?
Because does every house have brush? No, I mean, all the time,
So we
so.
do, we take about a week or 2 weeks in order for the public will be on this week, will be in your neighborhood. So we have to plan, and so people can bring the brush out. But I think every other week, every other month is too much. That's 6 times a
4
year.
times a year,
Okay, 40, give us, just 440.
and working together with their
Good
resources.
idea with the county.
Brenda would like to say something.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Brenda would like to say something.
But the problem that I would have at the landfill is right now, when we have the quarter free week, if it's gonna be the whole county, right now, we take between 50 to 70 vehicles a day. And I go over on my tonnage, but I try to save up tonnage because we do have rollover. It's gonna be the whole county, I would have to close by 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, because we would go 2 over on our
Okay,
tonnage.
for sure, Glenda said, didn't you say you have a little bit of acreage that we could
We do.
burn, right? I mean, we work together and burn.
I'm-
So you get, your tonnage includes brush too? Not just trash?
No, we have 20 tons for garbage and 20 tons for brush. And it goes to different areas, so
Right.
sometimes when it's mixed, then it becomes harder. Sometimes I have to turn those customers away. But during the 3 week, I do have a little bit of rollover tonnage to say, because most of the vehicles are small. They don't weigh as much as like the bigger trucks when we have the brush pickup. So it would be kind of hard to do everything all in one week.
But you're just saying don't include when you're cleaning the city when you have it for a week, is that correct, Carol?
Yeah, no, we include everything. We have to include everything.
No, I mean, you just saying that if we were to do a free week, having assistance in Help County during that free week, it would be too much time.
Yes.
She won't be able to manage it right. We should close down by 10 and we're done, we can't follow tomorrow. Which it happened.
And I think the misconception is we're not doing the whole county. We're just doing the cities, the small municipalities, not the whole Dimmit County.
So you do the other thing.
We take care of Dimmit County ourselves, but we're talking about the small communities.
So if, Eva, go ahead, Mr. Franklin.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, with respect to the issue on accepting brush from Asherton or other places within the county, something that you have to be mindful of, an interlocal agreement is still a contract, and it's got to have consideration, so it's entirely one-sided, where the county is providing a service for the constituents of the city without consideration in return. You have to worry about whether that is binding consideration for the contract. So I think the conception for the trade was that it would include the ability to use it for other constituents of Dimmit County, Asherton, Big Wells, elsewhere. But if that's not it, then we would have to think about what would be the consideration flowing back to Dimmit County in order to make the interlocal agreement binding. Because if it's entirely one-sided, then there's no consideration in this direction. That's what I was explaining.
But they still receive brush from all of the other cities, right? So that would be part of the consideration, because it's not just.
They still
city.
have access to dump there.
Yeah, there's still access to dump there, but we will be charged. If we remove the line item D on section 1.03 on the tipping fees, if you remove that, then at that point, any brush that Commissioner Talamantes brings from Big Wells, and unfortunately Commissioner O'Donnell's not here, but she brings from Asherton or Catarina, then if we remove this, you guys are gonna charge us the tipping. And so that's why he's saying in terms of consideration, if we keep that on there, then there's some consideration from the city of Carrizo to make it a binding interlocal agreement.
Yeah, well, I think opening the conversation now that we are working together on tackling this issue would be potentially establishing a ton limit on, we wouldn't be charged up to a certain tonnage, and then if it goes over a certain, then there would be that tipping fee. But again, I mean, I can't speak on behalf of the city or council right now. But coming to some type of agreement where it is mutually beneficial, I think would be
I
the
think
best
I've
interest.
been listening to, everybody wants to help, everybody just wants to
Yeah,
do what's best,
it's-
and where is it most efficient? The county has the ability to do it, where is it
Right.
most efficient from a legal point of view, where does it work in order to have a binding and a local agreement, so something like that could work.
Yeah.
If you had,
Again, just throwing out ideas just based on the issues that we are bringing to light.
Sure.
And that was the only thing that I had, it's just removing the, I can understand moving your tonnage, but just removing to exclude vehicles and Asherton. And if you guys wanna do it every other month and schedule a week for us, which you'd like us to follow, I mean, I think the judge says that we're open to that and seeing how that goes for us. But I don't think it's fair to exclude vehicles in Asherton or Catarina, to be able to assist them during that time.
Linda, what would be a tonnage that you think would not be, help us not max out, what would be an average, would you say?
Can I make a recommendation?
What's our max?
If, so that it wouldn't put a burden on the landfill, if we did similar to how we have 1 week a month, if 1 week, because they said that they can finish in 3 days, the brush pickup, 1 month, 1 commission, that specified week, let's say the first week of that month, one commissioner goes in free for just that week, so they can schedule theirs for that week. And then the next month, the first week, the second commissioner. Then the third month, another commissioner, and the fourth. So they would get 3 weeks a year, each commissioner free. And then the rest of it, if they want to be bringing it in, then maybe they pay. Now, what Mr. Wagada took this for that one, that was mostly construction where they tore down, so that wouldn't qualify for the brush pickup. Yeah.
Yes, it was bleachers that was removed from the.
Yeah, it was,
But what I took in was
the bulk brush.
and I wanna say that I ended up paying close to like what, $300 something, and I only pick up a subdivision area, this is one subdivision area. So you can see like if I'm picking up all of the vehicles or all of a certain area, I'm gonna be paying close to $500-600.
On that schedule you're talking about coming in from outside the city, right, the county, is that what you're referring to?
Well, so that we don't, if you're wanting to do everything, we just do it by precinct, and each month one precinct gets 1 week to go in free. The other 3 weeks they have to pay. And then the following month it's the next precinct, so they can schedule their own brush pickup, just like we schedule our brush pickups. And then we can do the 3 like we had said, and that way the city would.
She said once a month, so that they're not gonna pick up for 3 months.
You said once a month?
Yes. She's saying if they allow us 1 week out of the month, let's say you go first, right? So you're gonna have to wait 3 months before you can pick up again, and now you're gonna have to pay that entire time.
No, sir.
No.
She's saying one.
That's what we're doing now.
That's what you're doing now, but what she's recommending is.
I'm gonna buy a mulcher.
What
On that regard, on the county side,
In this
we
way,
just bought a piece of equipment that I bought that, if we tear down trees on the county road, we mulch our own trees. We don't carry them to the landfill. That machine that we just purchased, it's a mulcher also. So it cuts the tree down and we can mulch it all the way to the bottom, close to the dirt. So that's how we're clearing our county roads now.
I mean, we are trying to find resources.
We try to work as much as we can to don't give you all the burden and then confusion that we're bringing from the county to throw in the landfill, because we're doing what we can to do out in the county.
And what he's just trying to say is we're not trying to take advantage.
Correct.
We are constantly trying to use our funds to not put that burden on the city. And I know again, only a few months that I've been in office, but dealing with the brush the nose, I've been able to contact any commissioner, and it's something that we're constantly trying to talk about to see what we can do to better it first.
I guess Mr. Reset.
Brenda, I have a question. I know we're trying to figure out with Beth and trying to accumulate, monthly versus quarterly. But the question that I kind of asked is, how much space do we have left? Because we're actually going to be, you're saying 20 tons. We're going to be maxing out this again.
Well, before I took over, all of them were coming in and we were going over on our tonnage. So that's why we started the 1 week each one. And they were allowed 8 tons a day, which was 40 tons a week. And that was still a lot for us. But that way we were a little bit more controlled as before, where all of them were coming in at the same time. We have discussed getting our landfill surveyed so that we can get more or less an estimate as to where we're at as per the years. I have reached out to Mr. Garcia and I'm still waiting for a response.
Yeah, because I know that we, in a past meeting, discussed the possibility.
I'm gonna be honest, at this point, I think that we try out every other month as a trial run, because we don't have enough information to see what's gonna work. I say we give every other month a try, but have the same schedule where each precinct is assigned a week during that month, and then we'll gather more information and see what works or doesn't work, and now we come back to the table and we'll have a discussion about what's working, what's not working.
But
That's my work.
if we're gonna do that, how many tonnage a day or a week?
I say we put a limit to how much is going to be allowed.
Yeah, your tonnage available right now is not very much.
No. And that's overall.
I So I think that's the biggest problem right now. We're talking about how much brush we can haul brush all day long, but if you don't have the capability to handle it, if you think the whole purpose.
So what would be tonnage limit for?
20.
So this survey, do we have, it's not complete. Oh, but we don't have like an estimated time when that would be complete.
No. But we could, right now, put a limit on the tonnage and then just do every other month and see how that works.
We could also do like,
But that's not,
monitor it.
we already tried that, and what happened was, by 10 o'clock, like she said, we're shut down. So my guys, or our crew, they have trucks full of brush, and it's gonna stay there for the duration of the next tour. You see what I'm saying? And I can't unload it at the yard because legally I can't stockpile any brush there. So the problem is that honestly, you don't have the capability to handle the brush that people are putting out there. That's the biggest problem. And right now, what we're trying to do is figure out how we're gonna help. But if we really analyze the situation, if you don't have the capability, what good does it do for to run it once a month, twice a month? It doesn't matter, we don't have the capability.
how much are we going over if we are going over?
It just depends, because like the bigger trucks, sometimes it can weigh anywhere between 2 to 6 tons.
So like even
Just
if you
one
estimate it high, even if it's a higher number than what you can say, it's never really been this once, or it's only been like once or twice that it's been this amount that you've been over. Try to give us a number to see what is that amount.
Overall, or your?
No, overall, the whole county. I mean, we work together, so like overall, the whole county.
Well,
The week, like if, let's just say it was Alonso or somebody, any one of us commissioners that gone in there and you say, you know what, this month, Commissioner Talamantes went over 50 tons. Uranda, 10.
Well,
Just
just like you
what-
said, I tell the drivers that's it.
Yeah.
I tell them that's it because I don't want
So
to.
we never go over like
Because
a
I
big
stop
amount.
them, but
because-
it's like you said, sometimes by 10 o'clock, because the trucks weigh a lot, I've had to tell them, I'm sorry, that's it. And right now, I only take commercial in the morning, because after lunch, I'm almost at my tonnage limit, so I just allow like the small trucks to go in, because those don't weigh that
But
much.
if you just look at numbers from September 2024 to January 2025, you look at those numbers and that's what she was asking me about by precinct, because obviously Commissioner Linda is at 106 tons in comparison to precinct 2, which is Commissioner Carmona and you, where you're at 49, 46, and then second you come in Commissioner Rubalcaba.
So, a resident from the city, if you already met the tonnage at 10 o'clock, and there's a resident with a trailer carrying stuff to the landfill, what happens to him or that person? Can go in,
I
correct?
allow the smaller trucks to go in because their tonnage is not gonna put me way over. Because they will usually weigh, sometimes it looks like a lot, but it's only like 200 pounds.
So you need to take it in.
So I will take it in. In the afternoon, I only take residential, I don't take commercial. Because I know that one commercial truck will put me way over the tonnage limit.
I have a question. What happens when we have endures a storm and there's trees? Because it's happened to us here in Carrizo. We've had trees laying on the street and everybody's hauling brush. People are hauling brush, city's hauling brush, the county system hauling brush. What happens to the tonnage at that point?
Is there a special for that?
There's special times when something like that, I'm allowed to go over.
Okay.
Because it's a special situation.
Gotcha.
But then later on in the month, sometimes I'll try to cut so that I can make up that tonnage. But I do allow that, like when it's a storm.
Like a natural disaster.
Yes.
So going back to the tonnage, why don't you just, I mean, just my recommendation, set it at the 50 to 60, don't you think? 50 to 60? If they're saying that 106 is too much.
With whatever Brenda recommended, because she's someone who operates the.
So would you recommend 50 to 60?
A week?
Yeah, because if you're saying 100 is too much, right? So what's a comfortable amount of tonnage for you?
50 to 60 and about 40 to 50 would be more.
40 to 50?
Yes.
So I feel like a 50 is a great compromise.
What do you think?
That I could do as long as it's only one precinct and then it's only gonna be every other month, right? It's not gonna be every
Yes,
month.
every other month. So we would follow the same schedule, Brenda?
I
that we
think
set
maybe
now?
a better recommendation would be to start quarterly and see if that
Yes.
creates, maybe fixes most of the issues, because I don't know that we are prepared to do it every other month. But going
Doing it
from
every
2
month right
times
now.
a year to quarterly,
That's why
I think it's a
I
great
figured
improvement.
once every 4 months, each precinct.
Just to give you some information, we were doing it every month, and let's say, for example, I think it was precinct 1 had the first week of the month, the second, and then, so forth. Each had a week designated per month, so we were doing it monthly.
So it's already.
Okay, so
it's
doing
already
it every
set.
other month, it was already reducing it. Just.
Okay, yeah,
So again, I feel like how you're saying recommended every other month, I feel, especially because we're backed up right now, that would benefit you because you made that recommendation to say every other month, Azalea?
Well, the judge made the recommendation, yes.
Oh, I thought right now you said I recommend.
Oh, yes,
trying-
I support that recommendation, yes, but she made the recommendation, but, I'll leave it up to the council decides here. We have to vote
Well, then I would say the 50.
with the limit.
So are we looking at quarterly 4 times a year? Is that what you're saying? For the county?
That is up to you all, but there should be.
Well,
a
we
limit.
can't do it every other month, correct? I mean,
John?
That John said it would be 6 times.
I would prefer quarterly and not on the same month that we're gonna be having our free week because we do go over on our tonnage that week. So
see,
we
but the
have to
quarterly
balance
is for
between the
the
brush
county,
pickup.
correct? We still
Yes.
have a brush pickup scheduled 3 times a time. Would be-
So you're saying on top of the 2 times we do it, the county would do it the 4 times, is what you're recommending, or stating. So it'd still be 6 times a year.
I know, but the quarterly that we're talking about, are we talking about, the scheduled brush pickup, or are we talking about?
Yes.
Versus
But
twice a year.
The only way it can work would be that we take care of all the brush pickup in 1 week, so that our workers can go, do
Well,
what
let
is-
me just put this up. County is saying every other month. If they do it every other month and they take that off, then maybe we wouldn't have to do it the 2 times a year we do because they're doing it every other month. Because the other way is they be doing it 4 times a year, we be doing 2 times a year for a combination of the 6 times we're talking about. But they're saying we wouldn't have to do it at all because they would be doing it
Correct.
every other month and we wouldn't have to do it at all.
And I think it would also be more efficient because of the fact that we have,
So that
more
means that whole
manpower and the
month that our
resources.
street department is doing that, they could be doing other work that they need to do because the county is offering to do it every other month, the 6 times a year.
So rather than you doing it twice a year, you would do it once a year.
no, they
Actually,
wouldn't do
they
it at all.
wouldn't
Oh, that's fine.
No, they wouldn't-
That's fine too.
It would be just.
It would, yes, because.
So
we
what
would-
they're offering is to take care of the brush pickup.
Correct.
every other month.
Correct.
We just need to be able to store or take on that kind of time.
Correct.
As long as we don't exclude.
And then you
Exceed
can
the
set your
50
max,
for the
your
week.
daily max.
Well, if we agree on 50 tons for the week, then as soon as they meet their 50 tons, if they meet it the first 2 days, and then they'd be done until the next pickup.
And the other thing the commissioners have done is like, if there's a commissioner that didn't have brush that they were gonna pick up, then the other commissioners is, hey, can I, when it was year round, so they work together on that.
We've done that too. That's okay, you continue.
But that would free up our guys those 2 months out of the year.
What happens to our enforcement? Nothing.
No, I mean.
We
it
would just match the
It's still,
ordinance.
it's still designated though, so let's say that let's say next month, let's just use April as an example. Each precinct was still designated a week, so that they know which week they can pick up. And then everybody, we would actually this time make sure to advertise in the paper and everywhere, so everybody knows that according to our interlocal, what are the days if they don't, if folks don't follow that, then they would get the citation. Because there is a month where there will be no brush pickup, so they should have brush out there. And then, you know, that's where we come in with them.
I just think that if the city isn't gonna pick up, and we're gonna consume the pickup, and the city's not gonna use any of their resources to doing that, then there shouldn't be a tonnage limit for us to pay. I mean, we could break it up so that way we don't exceed that tonnage, but then we would get stuck as a county also paying the city at that point, because if we end up picking up 100, and he's all the city of Carrizo, you get?
But we have to follow that ourselves. We just can't go over the tonnage. That's TC.
You know, that's what I said, we can even it
So
out.
that has to be,
We can even it out, that's what I'm saying. We can definitely even it out and space it out to where we abide by your tonnage so we don't overfill y'all guys. But what I'm saying is if the city is not going to pick up at all and they're gonna give us that responsibility, we're fine with taking on that responsibility, if I understand correct, Judge, right? But not charging us for going over on tonnage because we're covering the entire county.
no, we're not charging you. You just have a cap because we still take tonnage from the citizens and everybody else. So it has nothing to do with charging you for overage. It just
Okay.
means you can't take any for that week at all.
Okay, I understand. So we wouldn't be charged at all, even if we go
No,
over.
you
We
just
get
can't
cut
take
off.
any more because we have to meet our requirements.
Okay.
That's because at 50 tons a week, each precinct, that's 200 tons a month, every other month. That's a lot.
So in the agreement, we could put every other month with a 50 tonnage max a week.
That's gonna be on 1.0. Ms. Garcia?
I'm sorry, ma'am?
On 1.01.
Yes,
For brush pickup on designated
Yes,
days.
ma'am.
Every other month?
Ms.
So we're not
Garcia,
gonna charge tickets for brush, right?
Ms. Morones we're still trying to figure out how this is going to go about. So it's every other month, each county, what happens to our schedule? What's your schedule?
So
We will be picking it
We
up.
won't pick it up anything.
That's what I guess.
So in other words, those months, which we had 2 times a year, that frees up our department, our street department to do other things we won't have to be doing.
Okay.
So I'm just writing notes.
But our ordinance will still be amended to match the fee schedule that we're going to approve today. Did that answer your question, sir?
Yeah.
Because I feel like
The
you
motion will
had,
have to be amended right now to make it.
yes. And then we will later have a different line item at a different meeting to amend our ordinance to match this agreement.
Is it 50 per commissioner?
Precinct.
Oh,
For precinct.
well, so I have 3 and 6, so then I would get 100.
No, you're designated a week during that month.
But you're saying, I said per commissioner, you said precinct. That's why I said I have 2 precincts. So then
Yeah, so it doesn't matter which,
Wait a minute.
if your precinct you're bringing in brush for, once you meet the max and you're maxed out.
So
it'll be
50
Per commissioner.
per commissioner, so not per person.
It's per commissioner.
Yes, because Valerie has 4, 5, and 7, so then it would get
Yes.
her.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, I would like to say that there's been times when there's other things in the trucks besides brush, and I would be turning those away. If there's mattresses, construction, because sometimes they do pick up other things besides brush. So this is only for brush, right?
Yes.
Yes. And I have a question for you, because there has been a few times, like even within the city of Carrizo, that I have a man that's asking me for assistance to pick up. Do I have to pay, or since it's in the city of Carrizo, what information do you need?
My recommendation would be to direct him to the correct commissioner.
Well, she does.
Wait, I am commissioner.
Oh.
And 6.
Well, if it's within that week, then it would.
But it's not just brush, it's like, he's getting cited for trash.
Then that would be
So,
charged.
Bulk is not included.
Yeah, so this interlocal agreement, Commissioner,
It's only for brush.
specifically just
For
for
brush.
brush.
Yeah,
Yes,
we-
for brush. So in that sense, you have to direct them to.
And not we would have to pay the tipping fee for them.
Correct. Okay, the city's gonna go ahead and make a motion. on-
Well, I just, real quick,
Sure.
Mayor, in regard to this, a question. Going back to that section 1.03, where Ms. Garcia recommended to omit, where it says remove, city will waive tipping fee for brush. I would like for that to stay in place, given the fact.
I agree, now that removes our
And
staff,
just to
I
keep the
feel
verbiage.
that since our staff don't have to do it at all and that frees them up to do other work, then I think that's fair.
And that would be the consideration, to make the interlocal agreement binding. The only other thing, I don't think it was discussed where, and this is more of a liability issue, Ms. Garcia, Mayor, for where you wanted to omit, or is being operated by county employees under the request of the city. That changes the dynamics now, because obviously we're gonna be taking on the entire brush pickup, so I don't know what the verbiage or the language there should dictate, because the city will be responsible for any damage to any equipment belonging to the county when the equipment is used by the city. We are no longer going to be using the equipment, or your employees are no longer going to use the equipment, because now we're taking on the task of picking up brush.
So would A through F have to be reviewed and then some change? Because even with F, if the county's going to pick up the whole job of it, right, and equipment and all resources, then this would have to change.
It sounds like some of that would no longer be applicable because the city
Correct.
wouldn't be doing it.
Correct.
So we could clean up the language itself and just eliminate whatever's not applicable to that current
Is it
section.
on that A through F?
Well, because
Judge,
I don't know.
may I say something? I do think that although this says brush, it has to remove just brush, because when you look at repairing streets has nothing to do with brush, but the county does assist us with equipment when we are doing.
no, I agree 100%
So
on that. When we're
in that
doing-
case,
Yes, no, this is specific, I'm talking specifically, including the verbiage in there about brush pickup. Because we do still have that interlocal agreement where we assist in terms of, the roads and the streets and whatnot. So, and equipment is exchanged, so that still needs to stay on there. But I'm talking about specifically for the purposes of brush pickup, because now the brush pickup will be entirely upon the duty of the county. And so, on there, you guys technically wouldn't be responsible. Let's just maybe work on that language, get with your attorney, we'll get with our attorney to have the proper language on there that
Maybe
covers.
include both
Correct.
scenarios, because during emergency situations, it may very well be that city employees will work together with county employees and work using the same resources. So maybe just draft some language that would be all inclusive.
I would agree with that.
and I was gonna say though, we did assist the county with the road that was in front of the Middle Rio Grande. But on here, it only ever references the county offering their services or personnel, but it needs to include the city also offering those. We do sometimes assist as well, but it's not a different. So I wanted to just be clear that everything we do is covered.
Judge, we should go ahead and table before we get everything, all the wording correct on it.
I think if we can keep conferring in terms of the language, and our attorney and your attorney get the language together, because I know Commissioner Carmona just advised me in terms where it says city will be responsible for fuel. Historically speaking, we've always paid for the fuel, the city's
Yeah.
never paid for the fuel.
Yeah, don't.
Anytime we bring materials in, we never come to y'all and say you all start hauling in asphalt or anything.
No, the
As
only
long as
thing
y'all
I
pay
think
your
we've
asphalt.
done is, repairs.
And what?
Repairs. Last year, when we borrowed some equipment to work on the street, I think the hydraulic something or other machine, we did make the repairs that were needed when you received it. So we do that, but you're right, that I know we haven't paid for.
Okay, so at this point, Judge, we're gonna go ahead and have a motion to table, so that attorneys can get together.
Okay. I agree to that extent, because I think we need to better draft the language for the interlocal. However, since it's affecting our line item for tipping fees, if we need to bring brush in accordance to the schedule that's currently in place, would you recommend it? Are we gonna be charged that
You mean after today?
after today?
Well, if you do it, technically have to be in writing and approved in order to waive it, but
Unless you did it retroactively later.
Because my concern.
But
right
then
now-
they would have to pay and then get recredited.
Reimbursed.
If you guys are okay with that, I'm pretty sure we can come to some kind of agreement.
I mean, because
But you
I
would still
think,
be paying until you get something finalized.
yeah, because ultimately, it's gonna take couple days to get the verbiage in order, one. And then two, we have to put it on our agenda to approve that interlocal agreement. And then you guys will put it on your agenda, and once the mayor signs and I sign, then we're off. We're looking at about at least a month, I'd say. So within that month, we have a schedule that Ms. Garcia had implemented that the commissioners need to follow, and I just don't want us to be charged tipping fees for taking brush when we're following the
Last schedule in place.
You can still take action to that extent and then say pending finalizing the language for the interlocal.
Yeah, we can do something like that. If you guys are prepared to move forward today, I agree with that language. Essentially, they would still pay the fee schedule that's currently in place, but then with the agreement that they would get credit once this agreement is finalized and entered officially.
But how would that credit work?
We'd have to work that out. The
Because, I
language
mean,
so that it's.
Because we're gonna be paying
Right.
upfront, is they're gonna
Yeah.
get a check back once to reimburse us.
If they pay with POs and then we finalize the agreement,
We can, and normally it takes about 30 days to get paid. So if we are dealing with a month, you are not gonna pay us until probably May. So by May, if this is finished, most likely we'll be able to have a credit memo created that will actually give us zero out the numbers. Because we're talking about a month. You're not gonna pay us from next week. So,
And I suggest that since it's gonna be one week each commissioner, that we start in April, that April's doesn't get billed till May anyway. So if anything in April, we can just zero out.
Or they get paid then.
Yeah.
Finalize agreement.
I mean, I think that's internal. I don't think you have to include that in the motion. We know we'll take their PO and then if the agreement's in place, we know that the credit will be issued.
Or you can just.
No, I
say
think
the
it just means on entering it and you guys voting on it, not necessarily discussing it. Right, you just wanted to, how to announce the motion. Yeah, and then you can just follow up the Russian or local agreement in the city of Carrizo and Dimmit County.
Yeah, because you guys are gonna make your motion to vote, but we gotta make our motion for us to vote. And my motion on our end is to table the item on our agenda is item 1.1. On yours, you obviously have just one. So
Okay.
what he's gonna do is table it, and then you guys vote for the council, and I have to put the motion on our end on how we're going to.
Any motion? Please.
So I make a motion to table item number 1 for later, now to agree on terms of agreement.
You have a second? You have a second? All in favor?
Sure.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, motion to table passes 4-0.
So, for item 1.1, I'm gonna request a motion to table the item so that Dimmit County's attorneys and the city of Carrizo Springs can confer on this item to continue the discussion and get the proper terminology for the approval, and that in the interim, we are going to follow the schedule as provided by the city manager, Ms. Garcia. You have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Talamantes,
Second.
motion, second by Commissioner Odena. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries.
We go to item 2, discussion appropriate action regarding City of Carrizo Springs providing water utility service to Dimmit County. A, golf course. B, the Dimmit County Volunteer Fire Department. C, Placitas de Mayo. D, Dimmit County Sports Complex.
Well, we'll open up to the commissioners. They have wanted us to look into this item. Whoever would like to begin.
the water for the golf course.
Any of those items.
So the water for the golf course, I think, I believe the water for the golf course and the sporting complex are set apart from the other venues based on the contract we presented the last time that we had the meeting at City Hall, which everybody should have received a copy. And that's
Of the agreement?
To this point, that was the only, yes.
The
1964 contract.
At that point, that was the only legal document we had to either entity follow. Unless the city found anything else in between, then we would consider, definitely consider. But at this point, that's, I mean, the language in there pretty much is clear as water to me, but unless you don't have any concerns or nothing else.
Because if you clarify, I remember I asked in the last meeting, the golf course, who owned it, and I asked if it was nonprofit, and they said it was nonprofit. But then I read a document here, right, so can you clarify, is it nonprofit?
No, I believe Mr. Ollanta answered the question. Is they, obviously it's for profit, and of course, he answered that they take in the funds just to maintain the operations of the golf course.
Right, and I think that's one of the things that we really need to understand. We're a governmental agency. It's not a business propriety that's owned by a private contractor or private entity, where he or she takes the profit and invests however they want. The golf course is no different than the rodeo arena, than the civic center, where you charge enough to sustain the entity, where we don't have to charge or utilize money from taxpayers. Legally, that's the way it's established, and that's the way we always managed it to where. And once again, the golf course benefits the city as much as it benefits the county. Because just last weekend, we had 84 players out there, and each one of them that was out there, I'll guarantee you they spent money either in fuel in here or leaving, food. I mean, I ran into some of them at Subway after the tournament. They stay at hotels because they spent too much time outdoors, and they still have to travel to San Antonio, wherever they came from, so they rent a room. So it benefits, once again, the community. If you really look at the original contract, that was the sole purpose of establishing the golf course, is to bring something to the community. This community doesn't have much to offer even as we speak. We're trying to enhance it for the people of our community.
Yeah.
And yes, we have to, when you say profit, if we don't make a profit and we can't sustain the golf course, we cannot leave it open. It'll close the way it closed back in the years, I don't remember when it was, but I remember driving by there and everything was dry. Everything was dry, and I mean, when you talk about profit, the county already invested $1 million before my time, before I became commissioner. So if you're gonna look at numbers, there's no such thing as profit for the county if we've already dropped $1 million into it, besides everything else we spent on it.
Yeah, I know when you and I spoke, the issue that we come across is, I mean, as we all know, it's illegal for the city to provide any free utilities. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the only way Denise is, or at least what's been explained to me is, even then, everybody has to create an account unless there's a public purpose where the city would be able to offer some funding to an entity, then there's no way we can offer any free utility services.
Right, that was, I'm getting more information from Bobby with regards to that point, just so that I provide the correct language that we previously discussed. But our understanding was that once the public purpose changed, that 1964 agreement would no longer be enforceable. So that was kind of the point of bringing it to the table, so that we can maybe discuss it and see if that's accurate, if we can come to a different solution, or maybe find a.
Yeah, so the agreement, number one, and I think what it will cover it is there was a trade here. There was the county conveyed water rights to the city, but then for them to be able to go and charge and for whatever water that they would sell, and in exchange for that, the county reserved the right to receive water for free, so long as it was for the language as operated by a public or nonprofit organization. It specifically mentions the airport administration building. It specifically mentions the golf course, and then it specifically mentions any other recreational facilities which may hereafter be established on said land, which would include the sports complex. So I don't think, I know what you're saying, like we can't charge, or I'm sorry, we can't give away water for free, but there was an exchange at that time. There was a property right that was provided to the city, which were the water rights on this land, and in exchange, that's what the county kept in the contract. I think, at least in my analysis of the situation, is we have certain other things here where water is being provided for free, I believe. Volunteer fire department and the placita, where there is no agreement that we at least have uncovered. So in order to do something different on the 1964 agreement, we'd have to amend this, because that's what it says. It has to do anything different, it would have to be amended by mutual agreement of both parties, city council and commissioners court. And I think maybe there's an opportunity to do something reasonable that works for everybody when it comes to all of them. And that's the place where I see a compromise. I think that if the city, at least in my analysis, started to try to charge a fee for water right now, it would be in breach of the 1964 contract. And nobody wants to see that. I think it would behoove us to find a way to amend the 1964 contract to make something work for everybody when it comes to all of these facilities.
I agree.
Since we have the absence of an agreement on some.
I agree, I think that's
month. But as an example, at the fire station, it would be this past month, 153. And again, an estimation because it's not in a building. That's based on the consumption. And then the placita is very low, $30. And then the golf course would be $14.79.
Page number anything yet, Hannah?
Oh no, I just got to ask from our billing, because it's not a bill, she has to do, I'm sorry, all the math.
Can you,
She said 153 for the fire station, this is ballpark, $30 for the placita,
Can you pass this?
and $1,479 for the golf course.
Thank you, Josh.
And that's monthly?
Did you pass that down there?
Yeah. Is that monthly or?
This past month, because again, it's metered, but it's not the account's not open, sir, so we're not billing.
And these are copies for us?
Yes, you can keep them.
just to circle back on where we are with line item 2, right? I think we're all on the same page that 2 of these line items are not part of the agreement. So moving forward, it would be to amend it and come to a resolution on how to split those fees.
I don't know, I don't think, I mean.
Or what the county is willing to contribute.
Based on what my conversation with the commissioner, I don't necessarily think they want to amend, we'll see what they say. They don't want to amend the 1964 contract, but we will be willing to pay for the fire station and the basita, because obviously it's not in the contract, so legally, we're obligated to pay that. However, it's in a position that they don't want to pay water and golf course based on this contract.
I mean, you guys can table this for now. We are already coming back on the first line item, so it was a good opening on the discussion for this particular line item. We can come back when we do.
Can we
do that for
table
the second.
number A and D, and then open an account for B and C?
No, the only items that are part of the agreement, because it's talking about a tract of land, is going to be the golf course and the sports complex. That tract of land is the 1964 agreement, that's what they're saying.
No, I think Councilman Galvan is saying that table that particular one, and then you.
I'm sorry, I thought I heard you say B.
No, B is
Yes,
no.
A and B, and then B and C.
I think yes, Mr. Galvan, that would be a good recommendation, since I think we're not ready to come to a decision.
I want to say something, and I hope everybody understands. We understand that Carrizo Springs does not have very much to offer to our community. Okay? We know that people that come out and either use the golf course, the sporting complex, when that is completed, for example, which is part of this agreement, and people start coming out for tournaments and spending, once again, money, and it stays in the city, tax money. Motel tax that the county receives, no $1 from. I really feel that, once again, we need to really analyze how we're benefiting our community first, and what can we take and give to make this work. And I say this because, I know we all want to expand, we all want to grow as a community. I, for one, when the city was building the park, I was all for it. And I've said this before, we assisted in every way we could with zero money exchange. Because we want to do it for our community. So I just hope that everyone in this room understands that it's not gonna hurt the county. It's not gonna. This is money that we're trying. We have a budget that we have to keep, and in order to keep that budget and in order that golf course, it's already a concern because we know that it costs money. A golf course is like a ranch. It's constantly things are breaking, constantly fertilized, constantly, and that's money that we have to spend. That's where the allocated money comes in from people buying a soda, Snickers. That's where the money keeps turning. But if we're not profiting off of it, now the golf course makes so much money that now we're going to add this. That's not how it works. This is just for the community, and I don't know if any of y'all made it out there this weekend, but it was all local oil field companies that are paying taxes to the county, that are paying taxes to the city, and the money's staying here. If we don't have this to offer, they're going to go spend that money in Uvalde or Eagle Pass or Laredo. We have to do whatever we can and as much as we can to sustain it. That's all I can say. Thank you.
So we're going to table this whole thing. Judge, we're going to go ahead and table this at this point.
The entire one, or are you gonna take?
The whole thing? Denise?
Well, it's up to you guys. You guys said you would be ready to
I think you
forward
need
on B and C.
Yeah, because you just want more time to review and take into consideration the agreement that Mr. Odianta has already shared with you. Is my understanding. The golf course is sports complex. If you're ready to have a discussion, and they have already said they're willing to pay for the fire department, the Cinco de Mayo Placita, you can move forward with making action on those items.
We table the whole thing, is that correct? No?
Just those two.
Just A and D, if you are okay with them moving forward with taking care of B and C, then you can move forward with B and C today. The alternative, yeah, you should table all of it.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Odianta. I think we all understand your point, and I appreciate you giving us more time just to meet, and I'll be honest, I mean, we hadn't had another meeting, so I need to give the council time to reconvene and meet together and seek more guidance, but we know that it's an important issue, and we'll try to get back as quickly as we can. I know that it's a pressing issue for you. Of course, know that until this time, nothing changes. Of course, there's no billing at this time, but we do appreciate everybody coming together, and I appreciate all the conversations, and I know we'll have more conversations about any other shared interests that we're having. We'll come back around to the lift station and everything else.
Thank you.
I make a motion that we table the city of Carrizo providing water utility services to Dimmit County. We're going to table item A and item D. And to exclude item B and item C because the county agreed that they would pay for those services. Correct? Okay. So we are we're going to table item A and D.
Do we have a motion?
Sorry, item A and D.
A and D. Okay, we do have a second. All in favor?
Who seconded it?
I'm sorry?
Oh, Mr. Reese.
Yes. So motion passes 4-0 to table A and B. Correction A and D.
A and D.
B and C, we're gonna work.
Yes, so do you need to make a motion on those accounts as well?
Really, I mean, it's the city charging the county, I don't know the county's doing anything
We're not
necessarily
just-
deciding to pay it.
I'm just gonna put the motion just to memorialize it, but it will be under our utility account, so yeah, taken out of there. So I'm going to entertain a motion to authorize, because I have to go into the paperwork of the city to open the accounts for the Dimmit County Volunteer Fire Department and the Placita Cinco de Mayo. So I would entertain a motion to authorize the county judge to execute all the proper documentation and paperwork that's needed to open the accounts for the aforementioned. Also, that the county is not, at this moment in time, in agreement to amend or change any of the 1964 contract in regards to items A, golf course, and D, the Dimmit County Sports Complex.
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Alonso Carmona.
Second.
I have a second. Second by Commissioner Melissa Talamantes. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. And so at this time, I'm going to entertain a motion on the behalf of Dimmit County to recess our special meeting with the city of Carrizo.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Alonso Carmona, second by Commissioner Odena. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Again, once again, on behalf of my office and the Commissioner's Court, Ms. Garcia, thank you, and I appreciate coordinating with us. I know it's been extensive coordinating and extensive conversations in regards to this. So I want to thank you specifically, but I also want to thank the council, your attorney for being here today and taking the time to coordinate with us to try to do any